instead of flour and replaces butter with coconut oil for richness. So the first step is to melt the chocolate. 8 ounces of bittersweet chocolate. I just melted in a bowl over simmering water. A little bit of a double boiler creation here. And you melt the chocolate with your shortening, which is really, instead of butter, a half a cup of coconut oil. Coconut oil looks like lard or vegetable shortening. It's solid in form. It's often used as a butter substitute in vegan and dairy-free baking. It's unrefined. It imparts a sweet, fragrant flavor to baked goods made with chocolate. And look for it sold in jars, and be sure it says virgin. Very important. Or if it doesn't say virgin, it should say unrefined on the label. Let that just soften and melt together. In the food processor, take a half a cup of walnut meat and grind them until they are quite fine, almost like a flour. And I'm using what's known to all nut aficionados as English walnut. They originally came from Persia. It has that hard, thick shell, actually 2 shells, sort of clamped together. And this looks very nice, quite fine. And prepare your pan. The pan should be brushed with coconut oil also. This is an 8-inch by 2-inch cake pan. Now, I've cut a piece of parchment that will fit nicely right into the bottom. You can do your own parchment liners. You can also buy them in some cake decorating stores. Now, because we want the cake to look dark on the sides, on the top, on the bottom, the secret, instead of using flour for release, use cocoa. And just sift some cocoa into the pan and then sort of bang it around. It's going to stick all over the coconut oil. And I have a piece of parchment on my counter to collect the excess cocoa. There, it's beautiful. But do shake out the excess. And there, look how nice your pan looks. Here we have our walnuts ground. How is our chocolate doing? It's melted. We can take it off the heat. Just remove it from the steaming water. And now you can add your sugar, 1 1/4 cups of granulated sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of vanilla. Stir in your walnuts and Dutch processed cocoa, 1/4 cup. And now you can add your eggs one by one. You have to make sure that the chocolate is cool enough so that it doesn't cook your eggs. So this looks so good, so shiny. And now pour your batter right into your prepared pan. Make sure your oven is preheated to 350 degrees. And just shake it around, get it level. Right into the oven for 35 minutes. So here's your cake. It's best if you let this cool in the pan overnight. Run a knife around the perimeter like this, just to make sure that it will come out of the pan. And then you can turn it out onto your serving plate, and we can do that by inverting like this. Oh, I heard it plop. That's a good sign. And here's this beautiful cake. We're not going to ice the sides of the cake, just the top with a ganache. About 1/3 cup of semi-sweet chocolate melted with 1 teaspoon of coconut oil. Just let that melt together. And you can decorate with chopped walnuts or whole walnut halves if you have some. You want the glaze to be nice and smooth. And you can just put that right in the middle of your cake. Just a little bit of icing. Spread it just to cover almost the entire top. This will level out. You can sprinkle the chopped walnuts around the edge. This cake can be made with bittersweet chocolate or semi-sweet chocolate. Either chocolate will work very nicely. I just happen to like the semi-sweet. And if you want, you can put some walnut halves also on your cake. What a beautiful cake. Cut it into wedges and serve. You can